Useful techniques for use at work. There are many thoughts about the whole subject of work. It seems that today, due to technological changes and technological development, it is difficult to understand what the workplace is and what the employee's place is at work. The process of finding a job has become difficult and cruel, and many interviewers even feel that the process is unfair, and many of them become independent in the field in order to try and streamline the issue. There are many topics that can be addressed, although there are many books in the field of work that deal with times focusing on one topic or in the literature behind the subject. It seems that there is no real reference to techniques that may make work easier and how to make work more interesting and exciting. The first day of work for many employees, the first day of work is reminiscent of the first day of kindergarten. It is difficult to fall asleep the night before, and many thoughts come to mind. What to wear? Are the managers nice? Are the employees okay when to go on break and with whom? In fact, for those who understand the issue in a more simplified way, the first day of work can be easy and good. Every employee who starts a new job should come with an open mind. Understand that they are dealing with a bully and that it will take time to get to know them and learn how to survive and cope. It should be remembered that the first few days of any job are used to get to know the environment and get to know the environment. It is important from the first day to give a serious overview of everyone around them. And the most important thing is to try and identify who the powerful elements are in the field. Regarding the chief executive, it is important to understand what his character is and whether you can connect with him. Regarding the head of the department, you need to understand how accessible he is and how easy it is to talk to him. The character that I think is most suitable for the workplace is the character of the little provocateur. Many people will say that this is not true and that this is not natural behavior. In practice, in psychology, and from tests I have done over the years, I have seen that many people like to be called down, attacked. Obviously, most of us will not agree to admit this, but we also find ourselves attacked verbally on various occasions, and even enjoy it. Pay attention to your friends in your immediate environment. You can always find past events in which one of the friends had some argument or conversation of an argumentative nature that he enjoyed. We all like to fight whether we agree to admit it or not. At work, we must maintain a little distance. Keep our cards close to our chest. From time to time, a small provocation may strengthen our status as a strong figure in the organization. For example, elegantly bursting into a conversation between two people. The irony is that such actions that can be considered aggressive become tolerable and acceptable among people. Obviously, you don't have to be like that from day one. Nor should you overdo it because it's a good way to burn relationships. As long as you tease a little, it's seen as a good thing. Another thing is the issue of bullying, a little bullying, and even a little insulting. Something like telling an employee, "Why are you alone right now on the team? Everyone ran away from you," or saying, "Why are you eating late? It's no shame on you." Things like that are the ones that show a certain audacity that indicates self-confidence and also mild bullying. If we are exposed to employees with problematic personalities, such as arrogant people, those who work long hours at a place, those who are difficult to communicate with, the best course of action is usually to avoid them and try to minimize communication with them. It is also important to note that those around us do not choose to attack or insult us, because then we will be perceived as weak and others will do the same. A good way that some employees choose to attack is through emails. It is important to remember that this is a powerful tool since everything is documented. You should not get dragged into arguments, and sometimes, if the correspondence becomes long, it is worth stopping it. Managers like to use email as a tool to show the employee that he made a mistake, for example. The correspondence was too long. You could have talked to him and ended it with him. The correspondence takes up valuable time, etc. The problem is that in many cases, we prefer to write to the manager in order to maintain authority and even write more pleasant responses. All in all, it is a game. It must be understood that the best employee is not the one who is the first or most successful at work, because the issue of engagement at work is more important than the work itself. Of course, this is not always true, but in most cases, this is the case. An employee who behaves more correctly will achieve more things in less time. We often ask ourselves why this employee is the first, or why this unsuccessful one is successful. This is because the employee learned the workplace and managed to get stronger and reach a stage where he is able to promote himself. Not the best are the ones who succeed. It is important to work well, but it is also important to conduct yourself correctly.
Another very important issue is to ask an employee who asks for a raise, training fund, or even small things like a desk fan or office equipment will be appreciated more. Obviously, this can be perceived as harassment, since the manager will not like to hassle. But an employee who asks is an employee who feels he deserves it, and hence is an employee who will be promoted. Over time, these things work. There are techniques that are considered unacceptable from the perspective of Israeli society. For example, giving gifts to the boss or giving gifts to employees, but in reality, we all want gifts. A calendar is considered a powerful tool. On the other hand, giving gifts should come from a place of strength and not from a place of subservience. You have to decide who to give and what I get out of it. It's sad to say, but we all want gifts, horns, and it is not shameful to ask or receive. On the other hand, everything should be done wisely, experimenting with one thing and another. You can bring a teammate, for example, a ball that you can squeeze when you get angry. This may appear as exemplary, friendly behavior. In the case of an attack by another employee, you must choose the right strategy. If you are a new employee, you do not have the ability to deal forcefully with the harassment, and regardless, sometimes it is better to choose silence. On the other hand, over time, changes can be made. If a new employee is a serial bully, you can take him to a conversation and explain to him that the conduct between us is not good enough, okay, and of high quality, and that it is better to correspond via email. The bully employee will not want to let go, but on the other hand, defense is the best offense. Connecting with the boss direct manager. In many workplaces, employees do not understand the importance of connecting with their direct supervisor. For many cases, not connecting or disconnecting also leads to dismissals or unnecessary fights and punishments. There is also a difference between men and women. Women can connect more easily with a female manager. Their ability to connect can reach very sensitive and personal places. Good connection between the employee and the manager can lead to the employee being promoted or improving her conditions in the company. There are many cases where the employee is not invested in the work or is not good at the job, but manages to advance because of the relationship with the manager. On the other hand, a connection between an employee and a direct manager or another person is often perceived as more concrete. An employee will prefer to work for a manager rather than a female manager because the manager will usually be more accessible, less harsh, and more businesslike. If the manager is not harsh, it is a mistake for an employee to prefer a manager. A manager is usually less likely to promote employees in terms of speed of promotion, and it is less easy for an employee to connect with him, especially since the connection will be less personal and emotional. This is where the employee comes into the picture. The employee will prefer to work with the manager. The reason for this lies in the fact that female managers usually show excessive rigidity and sometimes even behave in a predatory and cruel manner, which leads to the employee being dissatisfied and even considering leaving or suffering. Obviously, this is not the case in all cases. A manager who usually appreciates the employee's performance will prefer to maintain good relations with the employee. A manager who is enthusiastic about an employee who is performing very well will show this by having short, focused conversations with the employee about work matters, asking questions such as, "How are you? How are you doing?" And rarely will even mention in one of the emails that the work is excellent or congratulations on the excellent work. Senior managers, such as department heads, are not interested in hearing from an employee who is having a hard time or who is under a lot of pressure. So when the employee tells the manager that everything is fine or that he is much calmer than before, the manager will be very happy and even enthusiastic about him. This is, of course, a pretty good illusion in which the employee tells the manager what she wants to hear, thereby improving relations with the manager. In terms of personal promotion, managers do not usually promote an employee in a position unless they have been given the best possible explanation as to why the employee feels he deserves to be promoted. In such a case, the employee has already contributed enough time to the organization, usually over a year, and the manager will agree to support him. A manager will take the employee's request to a more emotional level. She will try to keep him with her and will not want him to leave. However, if the employee does not like the manager enough, she will be happy for him to be promoted, but she will not help him in the process.
The employee will prefer to work with a manager because he will feel more of an atmosphere of professionalism and less emotional work and preoccupation with trivial matters. It is easier for the employee to connect with the manager. He can find common topics such as sports or find out what the manager likes and talk to him about it. The manager will prefer to promote the employee in terms of salary because the manager feels that he also wants a promotion and a high salary, and therefore he looks ahead and wants to promote the employee so that he will be satisfied and stay. You have to constantly keep your finger on the pulse, see who the manager is and how he behaves. Like on a battlefield, the employee needs to identify the work environment every day. To do an investigation from the moment he enters the office. Is the air conditioner working? Is one of the employees sitting with his iPod and waiting for the opportunity to fight about the air conditioner? Are the managers happy? Who is waiting to be told good morning? Who are the strong forces in the workplace? The best way to generate power and importance for the employee is not to show up. A new employee who after a short time does not show up for a work day due to sickness or arriving late one day will be perceived positively by the manager. This is because the manager thinks that the employee is looking for another job and wants to leave. The above case refers to employees who are not students, because the manager's first thought about them is usually that they are not serious employees who are being disrespectful. It will be very difficult for a student to establish himself in the organization, because from the outset he is perceived as a weak factor who has come to close a corner. An employee who has proven himself at work will be considered an asset to the manager the moment he does not show up. Some managers even point out to the employee, as long as you showed up regularly, I did not appreciate you. The importance of the employee increases when he does not show up. Problematic managers are usually divided into two types. 1. The manager is depressed and tries to occupy a quiet corner and connect less with the employees. Usually, for the employee, the depressed manager serves as a positive factor. The manager is less accessible to harass the employee and less willing to fight employees or other teams. On the other hand, it is difficult for the employee to activate the manager, and this creates problems.
When it comes to a manager who is depressed, this can lead to a catastrophic situation. A depressed manager takes everything in an unusual and difficult way, creates an unpleasant atmosphere for the entire team, and even fights with other teams. It is better for the employee to stay as far away as possible from such a manager. The employee will wait for the opportunity when he sees that the manager is having a hard day, and then make a move that will improve his status with the manager by, after the workday, send a message via cell phone to the manager along the lines of, I saw that you had a difficult day. It will be okay. I am with you. Don't worry. I am here and I will help as much as possible. We will get through this together, because the manager is in an emotional place. She will not recognize this manipulation as a genuine and sincere attempt to connect. Of course, such an act of manipulation will only come after the employee has established a good relationship with the manager. An employee who has not done any connection work before will make a serious mistake here, as the manager will feel that her personal space is being invaded. 2. The bully manager, the type known from literature but usually very common in workplaces. There are managers who choose to take out their frustrations in the workplace. The manager can choose to take out their frustrations on the employee or not. Even when the choice is not to take out their frustrations, the manager will still want to show everyone that they are nervous and create unrest in the team. An employee will feel resentful very quickly, since the anger and resentment will be felt by many. Hence, the best course of action is to hide and show as little presence as possible. On the other hand, here the employee who has already taken the preliminary action of connecting with the manager comes into play. He is the only one who can try to use the situation to his advantage. The employee can try to calm the manager, share in the manager's sorrow and pain, and even connect with him. Initiative process for the two situations. It is sometimes also recommended to come and bring the manager a glass of water. At first, the manager will be enthusiastic about the unexpected gesture. But after a few moments, the manager may be afraid to drink the water because he will think that the employee spat in the glass, or because of the hygiene related to bacteria, etc. But out of no choice, he can accept it and drink the water. The employee can make a less serious gesture by saying to the employee, I will bring you water. It will help you recover. The manager will in most cases refuse, but in certain cases he will agree. This move is not always recommended. Not only in case you see the time is right, you need to be very sensitive in such situations. Hide and act only if there is an opportunity when the manager is accessible. The essential difference between the two types is, when the manager is depressed, the employee can demonstrate more power and actually surpass the manager, and even take on more responsibility at work, and help lead the ship. On the other hand, when the manager is nervous, the employee should keep his distance and not stand out. In fact, this is the big secret in the workplace. When the manager is strong, the employee should reduce himself and stand out less. When the manager is weak, the employee can demonstrate strength and further improve position. It is a kind of battle or dance. In fact, it is a strange system of love-hate, where the employee has to choose whether to make them love him or hate him.